Okay, let's jump in. Imagine, just for a moment, a time when maybe that veil between worlds was thinner, when gods, spirits, humans, they kind of lived side by side.
A very different worldview.
Exactly.
Mm.
And today, we're doing a deep dive into a really powerful ancient folk tale from Nagaland. It's called The Ballad of Kongliang Otsü.
Hmm.
And our mission really is to unpack this story, not just the plot, but, what it tells us about maybe human nature, about justice, even about these deep emotions that shape a life, even in a world that feels, well, magical.
Right.
And just a quick pronunciation note for you listening, this tale is from the Ao Naga tribe. And Ao is pronounced sort of like ow, but stretch that O sound just a bit. Ao.
Yeah, and it's fascinating, isn't it, how these stories, often passed down just by word of mouth, they capture these really profound truths, sometimes in narratives that seem quite simple on the surface.
Deceptively simple.
They really are cultural cornerstones, carrying lessons, values across generations.
It's incredible how much weight they carry.
Yeah.
So let's set the scene. A long, long time ago, the story says, in the age of dreams and magical times, there's this family, parents, and two daughters. And one day, the parents head off to their jum field. That's Jhum.
And that's important context.
It really is. The source actually mentions this would typically be around late July, early August, a key time in the farming cycle.
Exactly. That trip to the gem field, it isn't just scene setting. It really roots the story in the day-to-day realities, the agricultural life of traditional Naga society.
Yeah.
And that detail later about them coming back with a bumper crop, it just underscores how vital that land, that harvest was for their survival.
Absolutely. So parents are gone.
Wow.
Older sister steps up, gives the orders,
Yeah.
tells the younger sister, Tenius, okay, mom and dad are in the fields. I'll handle the rice, the pig feed. You go get water and firewood.
Standard chores, it seems.
Right. And Tenu, well, the story paints her as pretty diligent. She agrees, goes off, comes back laden with the wood, drops it down, and straight away, she was like, oh yeah, calling to her sister, I'm hungry, give me something to eat. You can feel her exhaustion.
And this is the pivot point, isn't it? The first sort of crack in the family dynamic.
It is.
Nice.
Because the older sister's reaction, it's cold.
Yeah, that immediate denial. Tanu's clearly worked hard. She's hungry. She asks for food. And she's just shut down.
Totally shut down.
It immediately sets up this moral conflict. You start questioning, okay, what's the responsibility here? Where's the compassion?
It just escalates. Instead of giving her food, the older sister sends her for water. Not once, not twice, but 3 more times.
3 times.
Can you imagine? Fetching water again and again. Finally, all the pots are full. It's time to cook.
Yeah.
Older sister puts the rice pot on the fire. And Tenu, who must be absolutely starving by now, pleads again, Oi, I'm so hungry. Please give me some food.
You can almost hear the desperation.
You can. And the older sister's response, it's shocking. She tells Tenu, open your palm, and then hits her palm with the hot rice ladle.
Wow. That detail is just chilling.
Isn't it?
Think about that symbolism. The ladle, it's meant for dishing out rice, for sustenance, for care, right?
Yeah, nourishment.
And she turns it into a weapon against her own hungry sister. It's not just cruelty, it's a deep betrayal. Using a symbol of care to inflict pain, that's malice.
It really is. And that's the breaking point for Tenu, understandably. She just runs out, crying loudly, and hides herself away in the sunglong.
To the bamboo balcony, right?
Exactly. The bamboo balcony at the back. Just huddles there, probably in shock and pain. And meanwhile, the parents are heading home.
Completely oblivious.
Totally oblivious. And they're happy. Have had a great day. They're carrying this bumper crop, fresh cucumbers, maize, all sorts of good things from the jump field. They're excited to share it.
And that contrast is so stark, that dramatic irony, the parents' joy, this abundance they're bringing back. Contrasted with the absolute misery and hidden pain of their younger daughter, it's powerful storytelling.
It really is. So they get back, ask where Tenu is, and the oldest sister, without missing a beat, just lies. Oh, she's too much, she says. I had to do everything while she was just loitering around all day. She must be outside somewhere.
A calculated deception.
Absolutely. But here's the thing. The parents aren't fooled. The text specifically says they knew very well the characters of both their daughters.
And that's a fascinating detail, isn't it? Their immediate insight.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes about them, maybe their wisdom, their connection to their children. They see right through the lie.
They do. They immediately rush out, calling for Tenu, promising her the first pick of all the fresh food they brought back, trying to coax her out.
But it's too late by then, isn't it?
It seems so. Because Tenu heard the lies, she heard what her sister said. And the injustice, on top of the cruelty,
Yeah.
It was just too much to bear. So she climbs the nearest tree,
Here it comes.
and this is it, the big moment. She transforms. She becomes a small bird, a kongliang. Her parents are searching everywhere, heartbroken, calling her name. They can't find her until they get near this tall tree and see this little bird perched there.
That transformation in folktales, it often happens in response to unbearable situations, doesn't it? Extreme injustice or sorrow.
Seems like it here.
It's not just, poof, magic. It's often a really profound metaphor, maybe for escape. For a spirit so broken, it literally has to find a new form, shed its old life entirely just to survive the pain.
A complete break.
Yeah.
And then the bird sings. It's this mournful song, but it's also really direct. Accusatory, even.
Telling her truth.
Exactly. The lyrics basically recount everything. Older sister sent me to fetch firewood. Older sister sent me to fetch water. Not once was I giving rice and meat. It lays it all out.
No ambiguity there.
None. And it ends with this haunting refrain. Better to live in the trees. Where am I supposed to stay? Where am I supposed to stay?
Wow. So the song becomes her testimony, her voice, finally unfiltered, laying bare the suffering. And it's a public declaration, too, right, to her parents, a kind of final justification for her abandonment.
Yeah, it must have been absolutely heartbreaking for the parent.
Devastating.
And the story ends with the bird, the kongliang, just darting from tree to tree, repeating the song, and then flying off deep into the thick forests, leaving the parents there, heartbroken.
Just gone.
Gone. So, wow, that's the story. It makes you think, okay, this is an ancient tale from Nagaland, but how does it connect to us now? What does it mean for you listening today?
Well, at its heart, it definitely speaks to themes we all recognize, right? The sting of betrayal, especially within a family, that deep need for justice when you've been wronged.
Absolutely.
And maybe the extreme measures someone might take to find freedom from cruelty. It really throws a spotlight on the impact of injustice, not just on the victim, Tanu, but on the whole family unit. The parents are shattered, too.
That's true. And even though it's set in these magical times, the emotions are so raw, so human. Hunger, being tired, the anger, the heartbreak. We get that. We understand being pushed too far.
Exactly. But what strikes me thinking about it is the finality of her choice, her transformation.
Yeah. What about it?
Well, unlike a lot of stories, where maybe there's a path to redemption or the person eventually returns or justice is served in a more conventional way,
Right.
the Kongliang bird just flies away. It's permanent. She's gone. And that raises a really tough question, I think.
Which is?
What are the consequences of cruelty that maybe can't be undone? Are some wounds just too deep? Does freedom sometimes require a complete and irreversible break?
That's a heavy thought, that maybe some things are unfixable.
It suggests that possibility, doesn't it? That ultimate freedom might mean ultimate departure.
So this deep dive into the Ballad of Kongliang Otsü,
Yeah.
it really does leave you with a lot to chew on. It's a stark reminder, I suppose, of how powerful even one act of unkindness can be, and the ripple effects it can have, setting things in motion that maybe can't be stopped.
And for you, listening, maybe think about those layers, the responsibilities we have within families, how truth maybe finds a way out even when someone tries to bury it with lies.
Like the bird song.
Exactly. And that fundamental of human yearning for fairness, for justice, even if achieving it means becoming something else entirely, transforming your very being.
So here's a final thought to carry with you from this story, something to maybe mull over. How do our choices, even the seemingly small ones, echo outwards? How do they shape the lives, the destinies of others around us?
And perhaps even more profoundly, what kind of pain, what kind of injustice could compel someone to abandon everything they know, their very humanity, for that ultimate absolute freedom?